vinyl resurgence? To us, vinyl never left. Welcome in to the Vinyl Community Podcasts.
Welcome, buddies. We are back. We are in another dimension. We had to gas up NASA's latest and greatest vehicle for this version or this session, whatever you want to call it, of Mind of the Record Collector. I'm joined, and we've been trying to get this off the ground for a minute, so we may have some interruptions, some interference, so bear with us, but we're going to land it gently. I'm joined by friend of the show, friend to all, the one, the only, Cosmic Brian, Cosmic One. Hello.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing, Chance?
Doing great. From one CB to another. Happy to have you here.
Yes. Hey, man, I want to apologize, man, for how long it took us to get this together, man. It's been a busy last few months for me. I don't want to go into it, but it's been a bit of a nightmare. But I'm happy that you had showed some patience.
Of course. So listen, I'm going through all my local guys. And before we take the plane down on Concert Body Enterprise, we're gonna get all the local guys for sure. But listen, you know how powerful putting us together on the same screen must be. Mother Nature decided to throw a tornado in St. Louis proper to shut us down. So that's you remember that? We were supposed to do this back then, right? And that was that tornado.
Yeah, that was kind of the beginning. That was the beginning of my woes. That's the night I wrecked my car.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. Oh, no, you wrecked your car?
Well, yeah, that night I was out. We have no power. St. Louis, right. Our part of St. Louis had no power. And so no way to charge our phones. I went out to my car, my new car, by the way, that I hadn't even had 2 weeks. And I was out there charging my phone, but it was so dark, man. I mean, and you know St. Louis, parts of St. Louis, you probably shouldn't sit in your car in the dark, you know.
No.
So I decided to take a drive. And I was out charging our phone, so we had something to do anyway. And then, but I was like 2 minutes from home, and I went across Grand Avenue in Merrimack, and a guy came screaming from the other direction, just screamed to run into my car. And I'm still trying to get my insurance claim for that. So that's part of it. But yeah.
Oh, dude, I didn't know. I know you're having the power issues when we had the original one set up. So I didn't know nothing about the car. That's terrible. Man,
yeah, that was a big deal. But yeah, I got a new car, and we're getting beyond it. So.
Well, good. Well, hopefully this brings some sunshine into the cloudy days, but we'll see.
I'll take it.
Awesome, I mean. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I haven't seen you in a hot minute, but I also haven't been going out record shopping in a minute. I've been kind of here, there, and everywhere. But it is good to see you, despite the woes as you said them. So maybe we'll talk more maybe about that. We'll see. But If you don't know, Cosmic Brian has one of the most entertaining, seen it, lived it, I know it, channels, like Mr. Hand said. Mr. Hand told me one of the most entertaining channels on YouTube, talking about music, talking about records. And I was so pleasantly surprised, and this is a true story, had no idea that the Cosmic One was in my own galaxy, my own neighborhood, my own community. And I saw him at the record show. I couldn't believe it. This is a couple years ago. I'm like, holy smokes, you're Cosmic Brian. Couldn't believe it. And there he is.
Dude, that is that whole, like, going to a record show and having somebody come up to you and, like, say, are you Cosmic Brian, or are you Concert Buddy? Or that, I don't know about you, but to me, that is so freaking surreal. Like, I mean, who would have thought anybody would be watching, you know, what I was doing. So, but yeah, it's fun, man. I got to meet a lot of, there's a lot of us down here, man, in this area.
Yeah. I'd like to think the best of us is here, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
We're right up there.
I think so. I think we punch above our weight, as they like to say. But anyway, let's get into the nitty gritty Kansas City style. Cosmic
All right.
Brian obviously is from another dimension. He's not from here. He's not from there. But where is Cosmic Brian from besides St. Louis proper now?
I actually moved down here to Missouri to St. I lived in Florissant first, but I moved down from Iowa. I've lived most of my life in Fort Dodge, Iowa. It was town of right smack in the middle of Iowa. I mean, it's like almost on the map. It's like right in the middle. But if you know Des Moines, Iowa, which is
Sure.
the big city in Iowa, it's about probably about an hour and 20 minutes north of Des Moines, Iowa. And so, yeah, that's where I grew up. And so, yeah, spent most of my life there, moved in and out of the state through the years, but always landed back there. And yeah, so just moved down here my wife got a promotion for her job. So we moved down here. That was kind of the stipulation for her to take the job. We had to be where the headquarters was. She worked for Lambert Airport, and moved to Florissant. And then we decided we wanted to get our own place instead of rent, and we moved into the city. So the rest is history, man. But yeah, I'm an Iowa boy. So
Lots of corn, lots of Field of Dreams, lots of
yeah.
late nights, early mornings, that kind of stuff. Is that where you cut your chops in terms of your music tastes? Was it the backwoods, or tell us about? Because I know, and I don't want to jump ahead. I want to bury the lead, but I think you actually played music too. Is that right?
Okay. Well, if I want to go back to like how, I mean, if you think about it, Midwest Iowa is pretty insulated. I mean, we didn't get all the stuff like California or East Coast was getting at the time. It took a long time to get to us. No
Sure.
internet. Back then.
True.
No, you just kind of had to word of mouth and go to the music stores or whatever. But my whole thing, literally, my parents did not play. I don't remember my parents ever playing music in the house. They never talked about music. I kind of had to make my own way, and music wise. So I remember getting this transistor radio. You remember those little? I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but they were these little junk. They took a 9-volt battery.
Sure.
And it had one earbud. It was like plastic. But that was, to me, like I cherished that. That was like my favorite thing I owned, man. I took it everywhere, and I would listen, and I kind of grew up. That's why I'm such a like bubblegum rock and AM Gold fan, because that's the stuff that I listened to, on that's what I was getting on my AM radio. So, and so that was kind of the start of the thing. And then, when you get into junior high and high school, you start meeting people and kind of discovering their taste in music. And of course, we all signed up for the 11 albums for 1 penny.
Yes, sir. Columbia House, BMG.
Yeah. And so, yeah, all my friends, we all belonged to that, and we all had lots of records. And in fact, I still have a lot of those records in the collection. So, but yeah, man, mostly just, I started off with like AOR stuff, Journey, REO, April Wine, stuff that was pretty common. And then it wasn't until I met, some people that liked the other stuff, like metalheads and stuff, that introduced me to Sabbath and Rush and cool stuff like that, man. So yeah, it was kind of it was a journey, man. But I started with that AM radio, man. That's kind of the way it started for me, from music wise. And then, of course, later on, I did play in bands, and I also hung out with a lot of people that played in bands. I lived in Dallas, Texas for a while, where they had a really cool music scene down there. Came back to Iowa. I was in a band right before COVID hit, just a cover bar bar band, cover band, and I was having a blast, man. I hadn't done anything like that for years. And I kind of came out of retirement, I guess. But man, I had a great time up until COVID hit, and then it was done. So,
What can I ask? What were you playing, or what do you play? Were you on? I think I've seen a picture. Are you a singer? I saw you. I saw you singing somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. I can't play a lick of guitar. Or I mess around. I have a guitar, but I can't play for shit.
Just for looks.
But
just to get the girls. Yeah.
I'm a singer.
Okay.
But and I also DJ'd karaoke for a while after I was in bands, just to kind of stay, kind of stay in that kind of realm. But yeah, and that was fun too, man. Had a good time DJing karaoke. Made a lot of money doing it. So
awesome. What was the?
yeah,
You said, well, you mentioned stores, music stores, record stores in Iowa. What was that scene like back in the day, especially as you're, kind of like figuring out your musical taste? Was there like one shop? Was there a store? Did you have to drive real far to it? Tell me about that.
well, in the beginning, like when I was younger, there was a mall, of course. The mall had I don't know if you've heard of Music Land.
Musicland, yeah, we had them here. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if they're still around or not, or if they became like FYE, or I can't remember, but we did have this one cool shop in our town, and I don't remember, it wasn't there very long, but it was called Co-op Records and Tapes. And those were guys that were more like what you see record stores like now, where you've got guys that are behind the counter and that work there that know music and can make recommendations, and kind of, after you've been in there a while, they know what you like. That it was that kind of store, where Musicland was just teenagers working behind a counter as a summer job or whatever. But that Co-op Records and Tapes was kind of like the vinyl stores we have now. But those were about the only two. Of course, later on, when I kind of get more into the vinyl community and stuff, there was one collectible shop in my town where the guy had like 5,000 records, and I would go and dig in there, and he was an auction. He'd go to auctions, he'd pick up collections and stuff. That's kind of was my only outlet for a long time. I was ordering stuff online. I would drive to Des Moines, and go down to their record shops down there. They have, 4 or 5 good record stores in Des Moines, Iowa. But yeah, other than that, man, it was slim pickings. There was no record store in my town at all. So yeah, good times.
I like it. So then, as you already said, then you came to arguably the epicenter of all record collecting, St. Louis. No, I'm kidding, of course. But
it compared to what I was dealing with, it is. It's
fair enough. I always tell people it's sneaky good here. We've got some really good shops. We've got some good stuff, and we got store owners who know how to really, curate well. But at what point, this is the most important question of all, Brian, at what point did Cosmic Brian enter the stratosphere in terms of have you always had this side of you? Because you told me privately before, when we were just talking one time, that the only people who want to talk records to you are us record nerds. So you had to find an outlet. You had to find a way to talk music, and you found your way to YouTube. Tell us about where the YouTube idea and journey starts for you.
Well, it starts off pretty sad, dude. And I've told this, I've shared this on the channel before. The way I discovered the vinyl community on YouTube was, God, I had a little bit of a substance abuse issue for a while, with opiates. And I was trying to get clean. I was actually had an extra room in our house, and I was just detoxing. And I remember going into my phone just to watch stuff, kind of lift my spirits and stuff. And I watched a documentary about the Monks. You remember, the garage band from the 60s that had their heads like shaved in the middle. Yeah. And that was pretty cool. But then I started getting these recommendations of other channels, right? and I stumbled upon. I don't know if you're familiar with Garner. He's a real garage rock guy. He's had 3 or 4 different names to his channel. I don't even know if he's still doing it right now. But he was the first guy that I discovered in the vinyl community, and I was like, dude, I still have all my records, man. I can kind of get into this. And then through his channel, I started getting into more channels. You know, in fact, I was watching vinyl community channels for 2 years before I even decided to, throw my hat in the ring. So, but yeah, it was Garner. I can't remember what his channel was back then. Dan from Dots and Loops. He was like a huge psychedelic record channel. God, there were so many. Biosite. I don't remember. These are going way back.
Sure.
Guys that aren't still around. I think Aaron, the Metal Theologian, was another one I watched. Are you familiar with Aaron, the Metal Theologian?
Yeah. He's in. I think he's near Columbia, South Carolina. I think ballpark, or I think he's mentioned that before. I've always made it a point to.
Yeah, I think he's out east. Yeah. But anyway, that's kind of how and then I remember meeting like Steve Carlson, and we had talked. Regardless, I'm still not in the vinyl community.
Sure.
But like guys like Steve Carlson, I remember watching Vinyl Richie. So I was talking to guys, and I was telling them how I was thinking about, starting a channel. And then, you started to get guys that would encourage you, like Vinyl Richie told me, just sit there like you're talking to your buddies, man. Like you're talking to your friends and you're talking about music or whatever. Just talk about your records or whatever. So I took a chance doing it. But I don't know if you've ever went back and checked out any of my early like videos.
Oh, this sounds like I know what I'm doing after this interview.
I was dressed to the nines, dude. I wore like a tie and a vest and the hats, and
wow.
But I wasn't comfortable, so they're boring. They're friggin' boring for a while. And in fact, I even had a different for one video. The channel was called The Vinyl Villain, and not instead of the Cosmic Vinyl.
Wow, it's like the multiverse. You had a different persona. Look at you.
Yep. And after a while, I started trying to think of, first of all, I've always had kind of a big personality, right? I got that from my dad. My dad is the funniest guy. He's real outgoing, and he's just a nut. He doesn't care what he says as far as like there's no embarrassment there. He doesn't get embarrassed about what he says. So I kind of got that from him. And I thought, I could spice this up a little bit. And I started thinking of things I liked that I was really into. And some of those things were like space. I love space stuff. I love like cosmic stuff. My Ace Frehley's like my favorite Kiss guy because he's from space.
That's right.
And just all the things, comics that I like are mostly deal with space, and I love science fiction and stuff. So then it became Cosmic Vinyl, and somebody else out there called me Cosmic Brian. That wasn't me. It was some other viewer that's where that started. I never really came up with a name for me. It was just, but when people ask me about the Cosmic Brian thing, is it an act? Is it just a character you've created? And I would say there's some lore around it, but the real guy is not that far removed from what you see on screen. I mean, I've always been kind of goofy, and once I got comfortable in that, man, I just started adding all the color and all the backdrop and the stories and everything. That's kind of how that came about.
Yeah, no, yeah. You really lean into it because, as I said, when I saw you at the local record show, you're mild mannered. I don't want to say Clark Kentish because you definitely looked like Cosmic Brian, but it was kind of like I had to be sure because if you see somebody, you're like, I think I know who that is, but you've never met him before, kind of deal. And but it was you. You're quiet. You're looking at records, and then once we got talking, boom, there was the Cosmic Brian persona right in your face. And you know what I mean. Like it was you, no doubt about it. It was great to encounter you like that.
I also have a shy side though too. I mean, until I like get to know people or whatever. I do have a little bit of a shy side, but and I kind of remember that, dude. I remember like a lot of times running into guys at the record shows down here and thinking, God, that they probably think I'm like standoffish or whatever compared to what they see, because I kind of do remember being more quiet, and before I got to know everybody. I think maybe it was just adapting to my new surroundings or whatever. Maybe, I don't know.
Sure.
But yeah,
sure.
I can't remember.
Well, tell me about. I think one of the first people I remember seeing you interact with was Robert Fithen. You guys did. I don't know if you did a home and away. I think you went to his home and did some stuff. Obviously, Robert is also in the area here too. Tell me about that. How did that come about? And did you guys like get along instantly, or was it something like he saw you at the show too, kind of like I did?
I think I can't remember who recognized who. I think I came up to him. I think I approached him because I'd watched his channel, and it was his idea. Like, we should do a collaboration, and kind of like what me and you did. It took a while to get here. You know what I mean? But
all right, so it's not me. This is part of the vetting process. No,
but that's kind of the way it was with me and I call him Mr. Fithen. But and then once we decided to just buckle down and do it, we came up with this really cool idea where I was kind of transported into his record room from my record room. And man, I don't know if you've ever been in Fithen's record room.
I haven't.
But it is like, I'm talking like wall to wall, like stacked. Like it is just shelves of records and CDs. A very impressive collection. It's got a jukebox. Yeah, very cool. It was a great time. He just lived over. I don't know if he still lives over there, but he lives over in Illinois. He currently lives over in the Illinois area. Mm-hmm. I think it took me maybe 15 minutes to get across the bridge, get over to his house. But yeah, that was all from meeting at the record show. And here, can I tell you another quick story before Robert Fithen?
Yeah.
Before I moved down here, I had a friend named Dan Isaac from down this way. He lives in Jefferson City. Okay. And we were talking. He had a channel. I don't know if he still makes videos or not. He was the Vinyl Geezer last I knew. But I don't know I think he does more stuff on like the Facebook Needle Drops group on there. But I had actually met him before I even moved down here. And I flew down here before we moved down. I just flew down here to hang out with him and go to a record show. That was my first St. Louis record show. I just flew down here, stayed in a hotel. He came and got me. We went to some record stores and the record show. So I had kind of tried to familiarize myself with St. Louis a little bit before I moved down here. Sure. And then within about a couple of months later, we ended up moving down here, which was super weird that I'd already been here and kind of met some of the people down in this area before I even knew we were coming down. But yeah, that was how it worked out that I ended up down here.
I like it.
I love St. Louis.
Yeah, listen, I again, like I said before, like don't sleep on St. Louis, particularly the record scene. There's a lot of good shops. There's a lot of people that know their stuff. And quite frankly, there's a lot of opportunity. I wouldn't call it like the Wild West and the Gold Rush, but you can still find good records here, which a lot of areas that I've traveled to, you just can't. So I'm not inviting people to come take the records from us, Brian, but I'm trying to encourage the Board of Tourism to acknowledge that this is a good vinyl community here in St. Louis.
I agree totally, man, and not just because I mean I was in heaven. First of all, when I googled record stores near me when I first moved down here, I was stunned, man. I mean, I was hitting them all. I was like Euclid, Planet Score, of course, vintage vinyl. Oh, what's the other? Dead Wax was another one.
Well, you remember Dead Wax had an offshoot. Remember Weirdo Records? I think I saw you in there one time. Remember that little offshoot?
Oh, that I didn't. That was Dead Wax too.
Yeah, that was Jeremy, and they were just trying something different there, also in
Oh
the
yeah.
city. Yeah, but it only lasted maybe a year. And the reason I bring it up, I completely forgot about it, but I have a drawer where I keep all my store stickers. What I'm going to do with them, I don't know. But I found it, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember Weirdo Records. Like, what a great name! Like, it was a
Yeah.
really nice spot.
And there's a couple of even smaller shops that that I don't go to a lot, but they're real close to where I live. One's called Infinite Spin. I think that guy shows. He's a vendor at the record
Yeah,
shows.
William, I think's his name, or Bill, William or Bill, something like that.
I think that's it. I can't remember for sure, but I know there's another record shop on Grand.
Yeah, that's Brad. That's circa now Brad.
Yes, that was it. It's got the monkey on the window.
Yeah.
I go in there and talk to that guy once. I mean, seriously, it's less than 5 minutes from where I live. So
yeah, he's got cool VHS. Like he's kind of got like all kinds of different stuff in there. I actually last time I was there, I don't know if I bought a record from him. I bought a couple of VHS tapes.
Have you been to the record Space?
Yeah, so that's Don, I think, over off of like Watson or Gravois, I forget. But yeah, that's a great like punk store.
Like there a little ways, but kind of more punk rock horror kind of vibe with his shop. Pinball machine in there, and lots of Halloween and like. In fact, they sell, like you said, they sell a lot of VHS and horror DVDs and VHS. It's a great little shop, man. I love going in there. Plus, they have comics too, so I go in there and dig around in their comic bin a little once in a while too. So,
well, I'm going to jump ahead because that's what we call a great transition. Tell me about because obviously, like I think a common theme of collectors, record collectors, is you collect other things, and obviously, if you haven't picked it up by now through this conversation, the Cosmic One enjoys the comic books, and I'm gonna guess is your favorite stuff like Marvel, the Cosmic Age, talking Galactus, talking Silver Surfer, that kind of stuff. Is that really your bread and butter?
Oh yeah, it always has been. I remember me and my friends collecting comics back when we were in grade school and junior high, and I was always into stuff like Doctor Strange and Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four, and my friends always thought I was a little weird because they were like strictly, superhero stuff like Spider-Man and Iron Man, all that stuff, right? But I kind of would try and discover some of these like more like weird stuff, like I said, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, not the Shazam guy, but the guy, the Marvel guy. I just love the like whole space like drama, and the artwork is fantastic in those cosmic comics. So yeah, that was always kind of my thing, man. I'm sure that
like
the whole cosmic.
Do you like the movies and stuff they're doing with it now? Do you think they do a good job of representing the source material?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they lost their way for a little while there, but I think with the Fantastic Four new movie that they're kind of going to find their way back to where I think they realized that they were doing too much. I mean, they were just oversaturating with the TV shows and just too much. It's just, it's like superhero movie fatigue almost. It was too much.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
I think both Marvel and even DC too. That James Gunn, the guy that he used to work for Marvel, did the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. Now he's doing all the DC movies. So yeah, I think they're doing good things there too, man. It could be good on both ends. So
Also,
yeah, I'm
St. Louis, and James Gunn. Shout out to a
yes,
local one.
yes. I forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you
Well,
see that they did a big thing down at the Arch on the 4th of July with the Superman drones? That it was shaped like Superman with the lights, and they flew like
wow. No,
down by the Arch. Yeah, I seen it on. There was a pretty cool clip of it on either Instagram or YouTube.
that's awesome. Yeah, some of these drone shows are wild. Like we saw something locally that was over at Grant's Farm. They were doing something. This is a total St. Louis thing, so people will probably turn us off now. But they did like it was I forget what they call it, but basically you can go to Grant's Farm at dark, and they did like a closing show with like Anheuser-Busch, and it was all drones. Like all these drones, just like I think that's going to replace fireworks when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's wild.
That's crazy that they can do that. I don't know how they can coordinate it, but it's insane.
Same, same. Wait, let's bring it back to the source.
Right.
So let's talk about our local shops for a second, not to name names or anything, but how often are you getting out these days? I know of late it's been a little crazy for you, but were you trying? Because I wouldn't see it every record show, but I'd see it here and there, and I'd see it some of the show. Like I saw you over at Travis's shop one time, the Vinyl Zone. So I see you here and there out and about. How often do you try to get out? And do you also, I'm assuming, go to comic shops too, right?
Yeah. When I first got down here, dude, I was in the record shops every week, and I was buying a lot of records when I first. I mean, I couldn't help myself, man. I was like a kid in a candy store. Didn't have that back in Iowa, so I was out there every week at the record shops, and then you kind of tapered off for a while. You kind of develop what favorite ones that you go to. You don't hit them all, like you just you become kind of loyal to a couple of the shops, and so I kind of tapered that off. But yeah, I haven't been out. I haven't been to a record show for a little while. I went to. I think the last one I went to was probably the one down at the Czech Hall. Probably maybe 2 months ago. Probably maybe even longer. But yeah, I used to go to all those, man. I used to go out all the time to every show, every store. And it got a little expensive. Then my wife had some health issues and kind of set us back. She wasn't working for a while there, so yeah, I kind of had to taper it down. But yeah, and then I've ever since I lived in Florissant, which is just about 20 minutes out of the city, I hit the comic book shops as well. It's hard to have two kind of expensive hobbies.
Right.
But I'm kind of a collector by nature, so I mean, I collect comics, records. I've even collected beer koozies for a while. I've got a ton of those. Yeah, sunglasses.
Oh man,
I've got about 30 pairs of sunglasses.
Now, if you start collecting like flip flops or some kind of stuff, we may have to have an intervention for you, Brian.
Yeah, but yeah, the comic books and the records have always been kind of my deal. So kept all my records and my comic books from when I was a kid. So still have all of them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tell me, before we close on the home stretch here. So going back to where we're talking about the YouTube stuff. When you finally found your lane, you found the way your presentation style, all that kind of stuff, and then you're going to the show, so you've got stuff to show. Do you feel that the YouTube vinyl community, air quotes, has made you a better record collector, and if so, in what ways?
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. When I just even before joining the vinyl community and just watching it, um, just seeing. I mean, there was so much music that was remained undiscovered for me. Like a lot of it from the '60s, like the psychedelic and garage rock that I really like now. And I had no idea. I had blinders on. I listened to strictly like '80s metal, like the hair metal, the sleaze metal, the metal, the thrash. I just listened to all metal, and so I wouldn't even have anything else for the longest time. And then joining the vinyl community, man, I started to see everybody showing this great music, man, and I was like, and that I mean, since joining the vinyl community, I have expanded my listening palette probably 20-fold, man. It's been amazing. And then kind of once you get going, man, then you start discovering new stuff that you start showing and kind of introducing other people to. So yeah, the vinyl community is great. I love it.
Yeah, I do too, and I think
Great,
you hit
great
the nail on the head.
resource.
I'm sorry.
It's a great resource for like record collectors and just people who like music.
Yeah, for sure. There's been so many things I've been turned on to, and sometimes turned off, of things I
Sure.
didn't know. But I think
Yeah.
that's what makes this hobby great is that you're always learning, right? There's
Yeah.
nobody that's fully formed, omnipotent. They know everything. Like you always, as long as you approach it with a degree of humility, a degree of earnestness about you don't know what you don't know. Like I think it's extremely, extremely rewarding, extremely, extremely, like you said, learning all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And half the factoids I throw out there in my videos, sometimes I'm not even sure. I mean, sometimes you just gotta go, man. I mean, I try and drag it out of my memory, and I try
Sure.
and I. That's another thing about music. I love to like study the groups and the history of the groups, and where were they were in this band, and then they became this band. That's a really cool part about it too. And I find that with record, you get a little bit more when you buy, like, especially like reissues. They give you like a booklet or inserts with like kind of a brief history of the band and the members, and it's really cool. You can kind of discover these bands that are lost to time. You know what I mean? It's some of them are so obscure, but we're good, and they just didn't make it for maybe bad management, maybe couldn't get promoted, or bad record deal or whatever, or they could have been like Zeppelin or whatever. But yeah, it's the stories are great. I like to share a little bit of that.
Yeah,
Try
I
and
love the stories. Yeah, the stories. I just picked up a record, and I can't believe I'm admitting this publicly, but it's kind of like a disco slash funk record because I'm finding a lot of stuff lately that I'm really locked into. Is this group called Top Shelf, and they had this song called Night People. I read it in a book, believe it or not. I read it in the latest coffee table book about record collecting, but you can't find it on streamer. You can't even, there's a little bit of YouTube, like somebody took it and recorded some of it, but it is like great. And it was kind of that weird era between disco was ending and funk was still around. And so it's got a lot of overtones, but I love the stories. I love the fact you can't find it anywhere. That's the stuff that keeps me hungry. It keeps me more engaged about learning more.
What was it called again?
So it was a band called Top Shelf, and the main song is called Night People. You can find that one online. And Mayor Hawthorne, who's like a DJ and a music player and stuff like that, he was talking about stuff he would, like 45s, he'd take to DJ gigs, and he said stuff that people had never heard of that really turn him out. And he said, I will put on Night People and it'll get the place hype. And so I was like, okay, what
Nice.
is it? Like, what is this? So I find it online. I'm like, this is a pretty funky song. But then it becomes the obsession, right? Where can I find this? Every local I go
Yeah.
to, every store, touch them all. can't find it. Even online, once in a while, one will pop up. So happy to report, I did find one recently, and it's been a delight.
Ooh.
But it's on some kind of label, like you said, lost to time. They made an album. It was their one and done. Either the label folded or the band created infighting. There's another one that was called, and I showed this one I think before on the channel, the Whole Darn Family out of the East Coast. Same thing. They made a great album, and then I guess the singer was a guy. It was Tyrone Thomas. I forget his name off the top of my head, but then they quickly remade the record saying Tyrone Thomas and the Whole Darn Family. So then you could kind of see like, okay, maybe this is why they didn't work out, because this guy wanted to be front and center. So anyway, that kind of stuff just really kind of gets me fired up about learning more about that kind of music and any kind of music, really.
Well, first of all, that their name sucks. So that didn't do anything.
That could have been it too. The name, they could have been dead on arrival. Yeah.
I seriously, I think there's some bands like there's a psych band called the Fort Mudge Memorial Dump, which is a horrible name, but it's a great record. So I mean, you never know, right? Could be the name.
Could be. Well, my man, before we move to the lightning round and get you back on your spaceship back to another galaxy, let's get you to another galaxy. I did want to ask, share with us what's the coolest find? It could be a comic book, it could be a record that you found out in the wild that you literally were like, oh shit. I call it the oh shit moment.
I mean, I don't have a lot of really, really rare records. I mean, I have found some cool original stuff, like some cool psychedelic 60s stuff. But okay, so I'm in my hometown of Fort Dodge, Iowa, and I told you about that little collectible shop. It's really kind of a thrift shop / antique store. He sells everything, tools to records to knickknacks. He sells everything. Every once in a while, I'd find a gem, like in the records. And there was this one record. It kept like kind of calling to me. It had it was white, just a white cover with this weird like block, kind of gothic, almost black font. And I kept kind of looking at it, but then I'd just leave it and I'd come. Well, then I figured out what it was. I figured out it was this kind of really sought after kind of folk psych album by a band called Shadrach Chameleon. And the band was actually from my hometown of Fort Dodge, Iowa.
No.
So I grabbed that record. I paid $10 for it. It was sealed. So I probably owned the only sealed copy in existence of that record. And because they printed like 500 copies or pressed 500 copies, I think 300 of them were destroyed in a fire. So that left like 200 copies. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say there probably wasn't that many sealed copies. I seriously thought, but anyway, I posted it on Instagram. I hadn't opened it yet. And some guy from Europe reached out to me and he offered me $1,000 for it. I paid $10. I paid $10 for it. And so yeah, I was like, I kind of conferred with some guys in the vinyl community, like Derek, Psychedelic. I talked,
yep.
And he told me I should ask $2,000 for it, but I paid $10 for the thing, man. I mean, I wasn't trying to like, I think $1,000 is a pretty good turnaround. But yeah, they were from Iowa, from my hometown. I almost reached out and gave it back, like to find the guys in the band. I was just going to give it to them because I didn't know if they had any. I'm glad I didn't, but yeah, little stuff like that. Once found went to an estate sale and found a sealed copy of Kiss Alive 2 for $0.10. That was pretty cool find with all the tattoos and all the inserts still in there, the fake tattoos. Yeah, there's I got a few stories like that, but I'm not really in it to try and find like something super rare. But if the opportunity comes around, I'll buy it if I get a good deal. Otherwise, the reissue is plenty fine as long as I can hear it. So
It's about the
but yeah,
music, right? So it's about the
yeah,
music at the end of
yeah.
the day.
That was a crazy find though, and I left it there so many times. I passed it
Oh,
by and I
oh,
grabbed it.
oh, man, that's a great one. Love it, love it.
Yeah.
All right, lightning round, my friend. You've made it. They're fueling up the spaceship. They've got they've got the disco ball on it. They're ready for you. It's actually a
Love
couple
it.
more. We'll get you out the door. So if you had the time stone, let's say you had the Infinity Gauntlet, and you could reunite one band for one show. There's no limitations. They're living, dead, fighting, etc. Who would it be and why? And it's not Molly Hatchet, right? I just want to be clear. I want to make sure it's not Molly.
No. Although they're probably still touring with like maybe one guy that's like original.
Yeah, those are the worst. They're like the keyboardist from Molly Hatchet. It's like, oh no, this is all they got.
I'm sure that there's bands. I think there's bands out there that are touring with no original members under a band name. So, let me just. I'm gonna try and keep this quick. Let me think of something. God, I don't want to say the obvious because, man, the first thing that came to mind was Zeppelin, man.
I knew it. Yes, sir. Bring back Bonzo.
I mean, that's kind of obvious because, I mean, yeah, Zeppelin, original AC/DC. That would be the original singer, Bon Scott. Yeah. That would be cool. Yeah, those. Jimi Hendrix Experience would be a good one. I'd love to see what Nirvana maybe would have done had Kurt Cobain lived. How they would have, developed over time if Kurt would have lived. So yeah, those are. I mean, pretty obvious.
Nothing
I don't
wrong
want
with
to hold you up all night.
No shame in that game, Brian. I'm with you on all those.
Heck no.
So then next question, what was the last concert you went to?
Oh man, I haven't been to many for a while.
I know we did encounter you at the Pearl Jam show, the St. Louis Pearl Jam show. Tell me that wasn't the last concert. Surely you've been to one since.
No, I've been to some shows, or maybe I was. Maybe
that's like 2022. That's a few years ago. I know when you're an intergalactic traveler, sometimes time and space stand still.
Yeah, it does. It just flies by. I can't remember if I went and seen Dinosaur Jr. Down at the pageant.
Okay.
I went with Travis. We went to that. I'm pretty sure that was after Pearl Jam. Yeah, that was one of the loudest club shows I've ever heard. My ears were ringing for like a week.
Huh.
I seen Ghost.
Nice.
I think that was probably one that was fairly recent. There was a show here that was on the 1st of July that I was really bummed I missed, and that was Tripping Daisy. They played over here off Broadway, just a few minutes from my house. I wanted to see that. I didn't end up going, but yeah, I think maybe, dude, I'm embarrassed to say it, but I haven't been to any shows for a while, and I think Ghost might have been the last live show I'd seen.
I know.
And that was a good show. They never disappoint. They always put on a good show.
Awesome.
But there's a lot of coming up. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of bands coming to the area. Gary Newman, David Lee Roth is going to be here.
I saw that. Yeah, that's wild.
There's some other ones too, but yeah, this summer is going to be great for shows.
Love it. What's your favorite record?
I'm a homebody.
Homebody. I get you. Listen, we get older. We need to rest this earthly vessel. I'm with you on that. It's especially if it's on a weekday on a school night. I don't know, man. It's tough. I hate to sound like a big lame-o, but you gotta, it's got to really have me motivated to get out there and fight the animals.
I mean, I'd rather stay home, relax, listen to music, hang out in the cosmic realm, freak out, just sit back, read a book, listen to music. That's really my thing. I don't like to go out a lot. So I went out plenty. Back in the day, I went out a lot, and I've seen a lot of bands. I might go out to a show though if I see somebody like maybe David Lee Roth. I might go to that show.
Awesome. All right, 2 more. What's your favorite record store outside of St. Louis?
Oh,
because you mentioned Dallas. I mean, I hate to be lazy and say Josie's, but
no, I never went to any. I wasn't really collecting records when I lived in Dallas, so
okay.
I had shifted over to CDs and tapes. I'm going to say I'm going to go back to my roots in Des Moines, Iowa. There's a couple places there. Jay's CD and Hobby. The name doesn't sound like a record store, but they have a great record selection there. Comics, gaming, like role. What are those, like Dungeons and Dragons? What do they call those?
Role playing or whatever they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was models and cool stuff like that. It was a hobby shop, but it had that was a cool store. And then ZZZ Records in Des Moines was another really cool store in Des Moines, Iowa. But I can't mention anybody from St. Louis, right? It's got to be outside of St. Louis.
Listen,
right?
we it's like who's your favorite child, right? If you got a lot of kids, you can't. You got to keep them safe. Now I'll tell you who the bad ones are. No, I'm just kidding. no, we're pretty blessed.
I went to a really cool shop. I went to a really cool shop in Las Vegas. It was literally a little brick building in the middle of a parking lot. I can't remember the name of it, but I remember early on in the vinyl community when I went out to Vegas and found a bunch of cool records there. So yeah, I can't promote them because I can't remember the name.
That's funny. All right, last one. Let's bring it home to comics, your other passion. Who is the real leader of the Fantastic Four? Is it Reed Richards or Sue Storm? Be honest.
It's Sue Storm. It always has been, dude. It's always been Sue Storm. And that's funny that people are just now kind of coming around to that because Reed he may be the most intelligent. He's the most intelligent being in the Marvel, the human being in the Marvel thing. He is the smartest. He's the most intelligent, but he is not, however, focused on leading a team. Sue has always been the backbone, the soul. She's the one that keeps him in check when he's diving too deep into his work and not paying attention to their family and stuff. She's the one that brings the law down. But yeah, I have no problem saying that Sue Storm is or Sue Richards, I guess. But
attaboy.
Yeah. But I still like Reed. Reed's awesome.
Of course, great character. But yes, that is the correct answer. I just had you verbalize it out loud because the last thing we want to do is have false information and false narratives on the concept.
Well, the movie is really like kind of bringing that out, and I think people see that. But yeah, Thing's the baddest, though.
Oh, of course. I wasn't sure with the movie where they had him grow the beard. That kind of was a little weird.
It didn't even touch on why. It didn't say why he did that.
I don't know if they were just trying to show that time had elapsed. I didn't really understand that piece, but everything else, I'm with you. I think they finally went back and they're focused on quality over quantity. They're bringing it in, and plus they couldn't mess this one up again. The one they did in the early 2000s wasn't bad, but the one they tried 2013, I'm probably getting that year wrong, was abysmal, and so they really could not afford to mess this one up. I think they did a nice job with it.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
Awesome. Well, Cosmic Brian, we must get you back to the cosmic realm where you belong, where you breed and feed, and where everyone can catch you on the Cosmic Brian, Cosmic Vinyl. YouTube channel. Brian, it's been a pleasure. I hope to see you out and about soon, my friend.
Yeah. Hey, thanks a lot, man.
And that was another trip around the turntable. Thanks for listening to Vinyl Community Podcasts.